All right, I got to give credit to one of the few people where credit's due. Salty Cracker, Salty Army, found out about the secret of Ukraine. Now, you guys, as Salty Cracker, I want to thank you because you're one of the people who I sent all the information about the Azov battalion, and he ended up following through on it. And of course, I love it that Salty ended up seeing that how important it is that we sponsored neo-Nazi death squads in Ukraine to take out Russian civilians. That maybe that might be an issue in this war, is the proxies we used who give the salute and have like weird lodge systems to recruit the youth into their nationalist mystical race youth squads. And then you could find all of this in Wikipedia. Well, the best part about it is, yes, as usual, Salty Cracker was ahead of the game. And because I want to make sure everybody on this channel knows, I basically sent on Twitter, Salty Cracker, I sent him the articles about Azov battalion. And I said, nobody's talking about this. It would seem like this would probably be important. And I really want to make sure to bring this up about there are a shockingly small, there's a dearth of discussion of this when it comes to kind of right of center YouTube and stuff like that, to the point where I've even heard people going into these like just spurgatronic things about the new Russian Empire and the new Soviet Union, and will not at all see the import that everybody in our government knew we were sponsoring neo-Nazis to take out civilians in Ukraine, and that the Congress defunded Ukraine because of the neo-Nazis involved, and that they refunded it, and it looks like it was based on that guy Vindman and his contingent in the Pentagon. So I want to give credit where credit's due to Salty Cracker, that he brought this up, apparently seeing the import of using proxies in a potential war. And so he brought up the story ahead of the game. What happens? Facebook wouldn't let you mention the Azov battalion. You couldn't talk about the Azov battalion. But now people are on Facebook saying the wonderful Azov battalion, what a bunch of great Ukrainian patriots. These guys are in dozens of photos, hailing with the right hand the flag of Ukraine, with nationalist symbols, full sleeves on, all this crazy stuff. And now Facebook is allowing it. So that speaks volumes. Facebook now is letting you openly praise neo-Nazis. And so I just want to give Salty his credit, because Salty was ahead of the story by 24 hours. And now Zuckerberg is allowing people to praise a neo-Nazi regime because it suits the Democratic Party, and it suits basically the keeping the great secret of post-World War II United States and Europe, that the United States didn't just recruit Nazis for weapon experimentation, but recruited them to create the Pentagon and the CIA itself. And now, everyone's about to learn. It's going to be magnificent. Everybody's going to learn this horrible secret, and everyone's going to have to look at themselves and say, was it worth it? Was it all worth it? The part that I'm still rolls around in my mind. Who knew, and who knew what and when? because let me make sure I say this. Israel knows. Israel knows this. And most importantly, most of this was exposed early on when one of the most important influences on the right were Russian nationalists. Yes, when the Russian nationalists were trying, and the Eurasianists were starting to make their mark on the internet, even before Trump ran. Kristina Karlova with Fort Rus blog was one of the key people in this. And so for all these people on the right who like, oh, the Russian new empire, which is this is really some kind of spurgahol they serve at like the new nationalist Catholic front, whatever it is. I don't know what it is with the new Catholics, that for 1 minute you're like, yeah, you young guys are really getting this. And then they're on something that you're like, what just happened? And then you realize, you're like, no, you're literally too caught up in some shit your parents, some thinking of from another era of time. Like you are behind. Let me just put it that way. You guys are fucking behind. The ball is ahead of you. You are going to miss it. You are not going to be where the ball's going to be. And yeah. So yeah, just that was just really sad that there's still this people not getting. Like, do you not understand the reason why people have been writing about Russia trying to achieve empire is because these are the kind of people who sponsored World War II. Like, are you not getting that yet? That Russia has been under sanctions for like so long that they've had to change their entire economic structure and are now almost entirely self-sufficient, but for what they trade with like China and like I think Iran and Pakistan or something. And that most of this has to do at some point with not being involved in the banking system and not allowing the international banking system to take over their countries. And that nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody wants to deal with that everybody who doesn't want to be a banker or be controlled by the bankers ends up being called a dictator. And they're always the worst of dictators. They're the worst of the worst dictators. But America, no, we're cool. We just use ethnic genocidal ideologues to get what we want out of Eastern Europe, and out of this antiquated alliance called NATO. Yeah. So I don't know. So I just wanted to give credit where credit's due, because they're so far the only people on the right who there's Lee Stranahan, and then out of all of them, Vice News was ahead of all of this. They have all the dirt on these people. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And it's like, don't you all understand that this is a Bush operation? This is the Bush family. Who do you think got the Ukrainian Nazis here? It was the Dulles brothers and the people at the Pentagon. So that's the Bush family. So this is once again the end of that era, trying to do some shit, and they did it under Obama. And this is Obama, a mess Obama and the Pentagon made, with the help of plenty of old Republican Guard people. And really, I do want to make sure people understand the stances that have been getting taken, especially by the Catholic Church, also show the whole deal. Because remember, Pope Francis was a fucking fascist too. He was the person who oversaw all those fascists going to Argentina. They would put them in dresses, and then they would send them to Argentina. And I don't know how people don't know this, but maybe it's because I just have done too much fucking research on where all these people went after World War II. Because, I mean, you could literally find them. Like, you could actually find them down to their names. And you find, like, that people They didn't hang in Nuremberg. These were people who typically held political office, and then at some point they would become a priest. They would become a priest. And so that's why it's like there's just I just have to say it. It's just I don't trust the Catholics at all. I just want to put it there that I don't trust them. I no longer can trust them because too many of them put too much emphasis on the church and its hierarchy, and the church and its hierarchy, ew, that was gross. The church and its hierarchy have been completely overtaken by fascists. And when you try to explain it, they just don't care. They just don't fucking care. And that's I've just had this too many times now that and they just don't care. And it's also, I'd imagine it's too overwhelming. And also I was there to see the sex scandal happen. I'm probably the only person any of you will ever see on YouTube or anywhere in the universe that was there to hear the person who found that the books weren't adding up in the San Jose Archdiocese. That's what it started with. The San Jose Archdiocese, the books didn't add up. And that's all it took. And this guy just kept following all these weird dead ends of the money. And eventually it became the Catholic sex scandal. And that was like when I was in high school. This would have been like when I was like 16 or 17 years old, maybe even after that. Maybe I was 18 or 19 years old. So this is why it's like, and no, and the Catholics, you couldn't get, you literally, before the rock left your hand, you hit a Catholic who was willing to denounce this man for factual information he found. Everybody watched. They were sitting there in the pews looking at him while the priest was standing there denouncing him for finding out, yeah, we were paying people off to have sex with their kids. And the investigation went nowhere. So I just wanted to just put that. No. So a whole lot of people in the Catholic sphere need to start dealing with, like, doing the thing that the left should be doing. Okay. We tend to believe in a hierarchical structure that is the worst structure that's almost ever existed in human history. So, from there, what do we do? Where the left should be like, we are totally hypocritical and we're always wrong. So we should start with, I'm probably being a hypocrite, I'm probably wrong. And it's like, so the Catholics need to start with, the hierarchy of our church is a complete fucking mess. These people will do anything to us and then blame us, parishioners. They're just robbing and stealing from us, and disabling almost every effective charitable arm of the Catholic Church and turning it into migrant trafficking and money laundering and intelligence organization work. I have a whole textbook, like a book like this, on the Catholic Church and its what it's been involved with the CIA. It's like there's a lot of people who need to stop it with this. The New Catholicism, it's like, yeah, New Catholicism, yeah, how about you guys kind of give up on your hierarchy? How about you just accept that this office called the Pope has never been legitimate. It's never been legit. It's always been exactly what it is now. Some fanook in red shoes who just tells you lies. It tells you whatever he wants you to believe. Says Jesus would say so, and then you end up with, like, your kids either getting it up the ass or getting buried by to taps. Shit. Anyway, gotta go. Later.